morning, and thank you for joining us on After GMS. This is something we like to do every day, an opportunity for us to talk to you about some interesting topics. I'm Tracy McCain here with Megan Malaris and meteorologist Ed Matthews.
Always a topic of interest, especially this week because it's Winter Weather Preparedness Week is our forecast. But Ed, no winter in sight, although it is colder out than it has been.
Yes, it has. It's been chilly. It's still chilly, but we'll see a warm up by Saturday. Some of you saw some rain this morning. Let's take a look at these rainfall totals for today. Now, there's a lot of zeros from Greensboro, Winston-Salem, and points north and west where we got really nothing more than a sprinkle, just enough to wet the ground here at the TV station in northeast Greensboro, but Asheboro and also Siler City getting nearly 1/4 of an inch of rain, just over 1/4 of an inch of rain in Albemarle, nearly 2/10 of an inch of rain in Salisbury. But look at Sanford, racked up 4/10 of an inch of rain. That was welcome rain. Maybe our next go round late Saturday and Saturday night will include the rest of our viewing area, our northern and western areas. Rain moved in quickly. It's moving out quickly. We'll keep the clouds for the better part of the day, although I am optimistic that we'll see some clearing as we head through the afternoon. The low pressure moving through South Carolina this morning will move quickly off the coast of North Carolina later this afternoon as high pressure builds in. So we'll eventually become completely clear by nightfall, and that sets the stage for a clear and chilly night tonight as lows will drop into the upper 20s. That high pressure builds over us tomorrow, but our computer model is pretty emphatic about bringing in some mid and high level clouds tomorrow. So although I think we will see some sunshine, I think we'll see some extra clouds, especially in the afternoon. Let's look ahead in the Triad 7-day forecast. A little partial clearing this afternoon in upper 40s. Clear in 29 tonight. Tomorrow, sun and clouds and pretty close to 50. We warm into the upper 50s on Friday. Some extra clouds, maybe a patch of drizzle or maybe a little bit of light rain, but not much there. And then on Saturday, out ahead of our next potential rain system, temperatures warm to around 70. And we'll see a late day shower. The best shot of rain with this system will come overnight Saturday night, and then we're back to sun and clouds, breezy and chillier with mid-50s coming up on Sunday.
So Megan just called to my attention that'll be 29 degrees overnight and in the morning. Thanks, Meg. But at least I now have time to warm up and plan accordingly. We'll definitely have sleeves, maybe some pants tomorrow. It's freezing in the studio right now. We're both like this.
I know. We both are like blankets,
yes,
sweater, which is us on a normal basis, but
it's especially bad today though. Okay, maybe it is, you know, the weather that we are experiencing, this change in the forecast. Remember, just a few days ago, we were in the upper 60s and some of us even saw 70s on the map. So let's talk about our forecast for just a moment.
All right, let's do that. So Ed, cool air seemingly arrived just in time for this cooler weather week, this winter weather preparedness week. People wanted rain this morning. Some saw it, some didn't. Scott's at Asheboro got a little bit, which is great. But the disparity with the precipitation is something we're going to be talking about in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, okay, so it's Winter Weather Preparedness Week, as Megan said, and this is where, Ed, you get to really do your thing and share the science that goes behind, you know, people who want winter weather precipitation. So the National Weather Service out of Raleigh posted this on Twitter saying, did you know that most precipitation during winter months begins as snow? It depends on the temperatures near and just above the surface that determines what makes it to the ground. Well, of course, Ed Matthews, you knew this, but impart on us the wisdom and science behind this.
Well, you know, the National Weather Service graphic looks good, but ours here at News 2 in the Forecast Center looks a lot better. So let's pop that one up. Isn't that pretty?
Ooh,
yeah, Tim Buckley drew that.
I like it.
And we have a lot of these explainers stored in our computer, and we can just pop them up and talk about them. So this is the one that I really wanted to use this morning because it just shows it a little bit better. That other one we just saw has kind of got everything scrunched up in a little space. All right, let's talk about snow. Snow is what everybody wants, right? Well, you got to have freezing or below freezing temperatures from the cloud base all the way to the ground. If you have that, and that can be rare in the Piedmont, you're going to get all snow. Now, next on the list is sleet. That's when it snows up near the cloud base. It falls into a warmer layer, melts into a raindrop, and then refreezes before it hits the ground into an ice pellet. That's what we know as sleet. Now, freezing rain is a little different. It falls as rain. It may start as snow in the clouds and then changes over to rain, but when it hits the ground, if the temperature is at or below freezing and it hits the cold ground and colder objects, it will refreeze. And quite frankly, freezing rain by far is the most dangerous type of winter precipitation that we have here in the Piedmont. And then, of course, if all layers of the atmosphere are warm enough or above freezing, it's just going to be basically a cold rain in the Piedmont. Now, I want to mention the National Weather Service sends up weather balloons every day, and we measure the temperatures and moisture at all different levels of the atmosphere. And that data is so vital to forecasting winter weather, which can be extremely difficult in our area because we're fighting warmer air and colder air. That's a battle. And then we've got another battle with dry air and moist air. So it can be a real challenge here in the Piedmont, but that weather balloon data is critical into seeing what those temperatures are at many layers of the atmosphere.
So Ed, you've talked a little bit about El Nino versus La Nina, and Scott had a great question you and the weather team have touched on a bit. Will La Nina cut down on our snow chances this year?
Yes, it will. We believe it will. The correlation being, and El Nino is the warming of ocean water off of the west coast of South America. La Nina is the cooling. Now, both of those can have big impacts on weather on a global scale. And what we have seen here in our part of the Piedmont is that the jet stream, or those upper level winds that kind of divide the real cold air from the warmer air south of the jet stream, well, that jet stream is expected to be displaced farther north, likely averaging to be in southern Canada for the better part of winter. So the coldest air stays up there. We'll still have shots of cold air, no doubt about that, but I think overall we're going to have warmer than normal temperatures through the winter months. And with that upper level jet stream, that's kind of the train tracks where weather systems track. And with it being displaced farther north, we're not going to have those systems that would produce any type of precipitation moving our way. But snow lovers, don't fret. We're going to have shots of cold air, and we could get lucky and have a decent snow, but it's going to be hard to have really a snowy winter based on what we're looking at on a global scale.
One of the things that we often forget in North Carolina is that our ice storms are just as bad, if not worse, than snowstorms. And so I asked on this feed, which one is your least favorite, snow or ice? Well, it looks like people don't like either for the most part. We did hear from Samantha, who said no snow, no ice, neither or. Sean said snow is awful. It's wet and cold. And then Scott added some wisdom here. He said the rule for North Carolina systems in the Gulf are our best bets for snow. Something that you just echoed. Yeah, you guys are on it. And then I also heard from Bobby, who says he doesn't like the snow or the ice, and Amber says, I do not want snow. So if La Nina cooperates, we will have a less of a chance of getting that winter precipitation.
Yeah, I read a web story about how warm and how non-snowy it has been so far this season in Denver, Colorado. Denver can get snow in October. And certainly November and December, they've had very little in the way of snow. And I'm sure we could research back and see the impacts of La Nina on what's been going on in the Hawaiian Islands. Flooding rain, torrential rains. Just in recent days, Honolulu racking up nearly 9 inches of rain. And then, of course, they had the snow at the higher elevations last week. That's not unusual, but what is unusual, they had 100-mile-per-hour wind gusts.
Wow.
Yeah, that jet stream up there. A lot of strong winds aloft.
Yeah, we know the torrential rain in Hawaii put a damper on some of the 80th anniversary Pearl Harbor celebrations yesterday. And so that was obviously disappointing. As far as Colorado, Ed, I saw on CBS Mornings, there was some video from the Steamboat Ski Resort in Steamboat, Colorado. And they were having to make snow because there wasn't enough snow. And this is supposed to be peak ski season. Yeah,
absolutely. And I tell you what, even snow skiing in North Carolina is a big business. It's a big economic booster to our western areas of North Carolina, but even more so when you're talking about all of the ski resorts out in Colorado. Now, if the temperature gets down to around 26 or 27, that's when they can make snow. So a lot of those snow guns are on standby mode in Colorado, and as soon as the temperature drops, mainly at night, they can really blow that snow.
Hearing from a few more people about snow and ice here in North Carolina. And again, people don't like the prospects of ice. Some people do want some snow. Debbie said, love the snow, no ice. And then we also heard from Gerald, who's praying for a blizzard.
Oh my goodness.
I hope you have a time set on that prayer. Be specific.
Yeah, your house only.
I'm saying, God, don't listen, God. We don't need a blizzard.
Well, I have a feeling Gerald has a very close relationship, so let's just hope that prayer is answered in different ways. Okay, Debbie said, got some rain in southern Alamance. Diane said, snow, no ice. And Joanne said, love the snow as long as I can stay inside and look at it. And I agree. I love to watch the snow. I love to, make snow cream and watch kids play in snow, but I personally don't like driving in it or being in it for very long. It's just not my thing. But what is?
Well, we'll just have to see what we get this winter.
Yes. We'll be waiting to see and find out.
All right, let's get to our morning headlines before our second talker of the day. Triad communities are feeling really optimistic about the future now that Toyota has committed to building on the Greensboro-Randolph megasite. Pleasant Garden Mayor Dean Maddox says the benefits of this facility will certainly trickle to his town and beyond, attracting more business to the area. Realtors predict the megasite will boost the already booming real estate market even higher. Today, Burlington has a new grocery store option. This is big for that area. The new Publix grocery store opened early this morning. It's on South Church Street near Holly Hill Mall. About 130 people work there. This is the Triad's 4th Publix store.
Well, it's been 1 year since a major step in the fight to stop COVID-19. On this day, 2020, 91 years old grandmother Margaret Keenan got her first Pfizer vaccine in the UK. It was the first vaccine that started global distribution efforts for the general population. The first vaccine in the US went out a week later to a critical care nurse in New York. Prescriptions, flu shots, and since the pandemic, pharmacies are now taking on COVID-19 testing and vaccines. Many pharmacies are working with the same staff that they had before COVID, and they are overwhelmed. WFMY News 2's Itanise McMiller talked about this from a Greensboro pharmacy to see how they're handling this overload.
Well, pharmacies have been essential in getting folks in our community vaccinated, and many of them have signs like this in their window. They're also giving out boosters and flu shots. It's making staff here at Adler Pharmacy work overtime to meet the community's needs. Adler Pharmacy says when kid dose vaccines became available last month, they saw a boost in business. And now with news about the Omicron variant hitting the airways, they really have their hands tied with folks wanting to get their booster shots. The owner says they're seeing about 50% more customers.
It's difficult to get pharmacy technicians to come in. The ones that I have now actually have to work more. They have to do more hours. As soon as they come into the pharmacy, they are busy all day. Filling the paperwork and getting the vaccines ready for me, and I'll go and give it to them. And it's been tedious, I would say.
Now, Adler also sells take-home COVID tests. As President Biden plans to have tests covered by insurance, this just means more customers coming in. Here are some other places you can find an Abbott take-home COVID test. Area Walgreens, CVS's, Walmart's, and Sam's Clubs all have tests in stock. Independent pharmacies like Gate City and Friendly Pharmacy here in Greensboro have tests as well. Now back here at Adler Pharmacy, the owner says if business continues to be like this after the new year, they'll have to hire an additional pharmacy tech.
Right now to our second conversation. As you are well aware, there are several factors, challenges we should say, at play in getting your holiday packages delivered on time this year. From the staffing shortages to supply chain issues to porch pirates, and then just yesterday, a widespread network outage.
This outage at Amazon had a massive trickle-down effect, disrupting access to many popular sites that you use probably every day. We want to know, were you affected by this outage? We want to give you some background while you type some comments in the search bar here, our comment bar. So an Amazon Web Services outages disrupted the internet, and it caused delays in package deliveries, Amazon products, as well as Disney Plus, Slack, Robinhood, all among the services affected by this server issue. Amazon's delivery service also experiencing problems with its operations. The service provides remote computing services to governments, universities, and other companies, including the Associated Press.
Several viewers shared their experiences with the outage. Here on the WFMY News 2 Facebook page, Joni wrote, "I knew something was up with Amazon. It wouldn't load anything and would freeze up." Mania said it took out educational sites too. Rick said it happens when one company runs pretty much everything.
So were you impacted by this outage yesterday? I'll start. I was not. Megan, you mentioned you were not. Ed Matthews?
I was not. Look, I had the day off, okay? So what Ed tries to do is stay away from the computer on my days off.
That's good.
However, late in the day, probably after all of this happened and it was repaired and everything was back to normal, I jumped on the computer about 5 or 6 o'clock, started looking at, of course, weather graphics so I could be prepared for my weather segments this morning. But not on really much at all yesterday until late in the day, so no problems.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess it just depends on what sites you use. You know, you can access through Amazon, not only their Prime Video and music, but there's Disney Plus and even Paramount streaming services. Pretty much every streaming service somehow is tied. I think you can do Netflix through Amazon accounts as well. So if you were trying to stream something or maybe purchase something on Amazon, you probably did experience some delays. Some people even mentioning that their Ubers were delayed. They couldn't order food online through that account. So, I mean, it looks like it was wide ranging.
Well, I think a lot of people don't realize that Amazon is more than just that website where you shop for things and then you can select the Prime option and get them faster. It's also a huge cloud service that so many companies use and rely on to store their data. So I think a lot of the impacts that were felt yesterday might not necessarily even have been what consumers were experiencing unless they were avidly online trying to order Christmas presents and whatnot. And, you know, it was the work week, early in the work week, so probably not a huge prime time for shopping anyway.
Well, and you know, this is probably signs of the future, right? You know, when everything is on one network, you know, and something happens to it, there are going to be disruptions. But I felt like the best part about this was it wasn't so crippling that people couldn't continue on with their lives. Look, I didn't even know about it. And I went around throughout my day as normal. If this were some other type of shutdown, maybe it would have had that effect where we couldn't, get gas or something like that, then that would be like a major impact on everyone. But shopping, it's not something I do every day, or order things online. So we were allowed to move about life as normal, which is the good thing. But I'm sure people are looking into this for future and saying, maybe all these things shouldn't be on one cloud server network.
Right. So some people have experienced this issue in the past day. Sandra said her music on her Alexa suddenly went off, so she thinks it must have been the problem. We heard from Debbie, who said she was not affected, neither was Bobby. Cherie didn't notice, plus she didn't try to get on. Your friend Dana said she ordered your daughter's birthday gift before the outage and hopes it gets there on time.
Yeah, she's a really good friend of mine, so I appreciate that, and I will let you know. But a lot of people, Sean said, why didn't you want to buy anything on Amazon? Well, I didn't want to buy anything at all. It wasn't just, I just didn't go online. And I don't know if that was to me or you, because none of us were online shopping yesterday. But trust me, over the last few weeks, I've had gone online to do a little bit of that. But no, yesterday was a day off for me.
I want to point out, in this discussion, and I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer or a Dan Downer or anything like that, but this just shows, even though this wasn't real crippling, if there is a big internet interruption, it can cripple a lot of things around the world. We've seen that in the past. And I would just hope and pray that nobody, of course, we've got people out there, hacking every minute of the day and night, but it just shows how connected the world is to the internet and how open we are to the possibility of lives around the world being disrupted. And not only that, but utilities and anything that runs off of the internet. This TV station runs off of the internet partially. But I tell you what, as we know, our parent company is really on the ball to keep our sources protected, from any outside, negative influence or hacking.
It is a threat
that
we face every day. And I'm sure hospital systems, banks, major companies all face these same threats from criminals trying to get not only data, but to hold information ransom so that they can get money and payment and also do damage along the way. So that trickles down to the average person, as you're shopping online. So when there's an outage, your mind kind of does trickle off and say I wonder what else this is impacting. Yeah. But no word of anything like that being associated with this outage yesterday, but it does make you wonder.
Yeah, well, that's the reason. These complications are the reasons viewer Joe and viewer Joanne said they just prefer to shop locally at brick and mortar stores. Yeah. Saves the hassle, although you wonder if you're using a credit card or your Apple Pay, if some of those systems potentially are affected by network outages as they happen. So it's a lot to consider.
Definitely. All right, we also want to consider wearing Snuggies to work tomorrow, bringing blankets,
space heater.
We aren't allowed space heaters anymore. But if you have one, let me know. So
I won't tell.
A little extra heat might be on order for tomorrow.
Yeah, certainly a good idea before we warm up by Saturday. You can control the weather in the studio, but not the case with Mother Nature. She does her own thing, and she gave us some rain in some of our southern areas this morning. That has moved on out. We still got a lot of clouds, but I'm going to be looking for a little bit of sun to peek through this afternoon. We'll call it partly sunny later today, and in the chilly upper 40s. It'll be clear in upper 20s tonight. We'll see more of a mix of sun and clouds. I think some high-level clouds are going to build back in on Thursday, near 50, so still chilly on Thursday. Friday, we'll see a lot of extra clouds. There could be a sprinkle or maybe a patch of drizzle, but a low chance of that in 58. Saturday, I'm excited. I'm excited about 70-degree weather. Yeah, it could happen for sure. Next system comes in late Saturday night. At this point, we're looking at a fairly decent chance of rain overnight Saturday night, but that system moves out. We dry out and then we cool off again back into the mid 50s for Sunday, Monday, and upper 50s by Tuesday.
Ann just had a great idea. She said battery operated socks. Just saying.
Ooh.
I was like, oh, or electric blankets.
Some good Christmas ideas.
Yeah, or early, because I might need it tomorrow, which would be good. But yeah, these have been great conversations, and we certainly appreciate you having them with us. And we hope that you join us again for After GMS tomorrow. Bundle up, though. It's going to be cold.
We'll see you then.
Take care.